Welcome to the Fantasy Football Healers program, a show that is Dynasty Fantasy Football. I'm your host, Dustin Brown, and with me today is Colton Palmer.
How's it going, guys? Back for another week. We are officially in the Dynasty on season. It's not the off season, it's the on season. We're starting it up. This is where Dynasty comes to life, man. This is where it's fun. Especially for you and me doing this podcast, we really get to dive in deep to all this stuff, and we get to reflect on the year, look ahead towards the future, start looking at the rookies. So it's officially a good time of year, man.
Season 3, Colton. We're on Season 3. It's official right now, 2026. Season 3 kicks off today, and guess what? We're live. We're live on YouTube right now.
Wow. Yeah. Hopefully I don't say anything stupid. I have a feeling there's a lot of you saving me in the editing. So if you're with us live on YouTube, be prepared. Be prepared for the roller coaster.
Oh, it's going to be fun. And if you enjoy fun, don't forget to find us at FF Healers and at FF Captain 22 on Twitter X. Again, you probably already just found us on YouTube. Just search FF Healers in the search bar. Colton, today we're going to talk about a lot of fantasy football stuff. And not only that, but we're on the quarterback carousel right now. I'm sorry, I said coaching carousel. There's a coaching carousel that's happening right now. Leave it to being live to say the wrong thing instead of saying coaches saying quarterback.
You had me nervous. I have my coaching notes up, not my quarterback notes up. So I was like, great, this is going to get real wild.
Well, my mind got jumbled because I wanted to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks that are in the college playoffs right now, just to touch on them just a little bit, because we had Miami versus Ole Miss last night, and we got Oregon versus Indiana right now. We've got Fernando Mendoza with Indiana going up against the Oregon quarterback and Dante Moore. I had a news flash on my phone that basically said that Dante Moore ended up having a fumble, which resulted in a weird Indiana touchdown. I haven't watched any of that game yet. I did watch the Georgia I did watch the Miami and the Ole Miss game yesterday, and that came right down to the end.
Yeah, super exciting slate just this weekend in general, between college ball and the NFL playoffs happening, with so many exciting games this weekend, like huge implications for this playoff. So it's a fun weekend of football, man. Definitely for sure.
This might be wild, but Carson Beck, he was with Georgia last year. He looked awful. This year, he's helping Miami get to a championship game and potentially could win a championship this year. Carson Beck, he did not go into the NFL draft last year. Instead, he went to Miami, and they paid him $4 million to do so. The guy's making a ton of money. He would have been probably like a 5th-round pick last year. But this year, he's coming out as a 7th-year rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I say this every year. I'm not the biggest of college football watchers, but everything I've been watching and reading on Carson Beck is that he keeps sending his wide receivers to the hospital. I've read a lot that he just chucks hospital balls to these poor wide receivers and gets them absolutely nuked. And there's going to be a lot of GMs that aren't super fond of their superstar wide receivers getting absolutely murdered because their quarterback doesn't know what they're doing. So maybe he helped his draft capital by going back to Miami and possibly winning a national title. But at the same time, was he a candidate for the Heisman?
I'm not sure. I didn't ever hear Carson Beck's name get brought up for a Heisman.
I don't think he was, because I think it's just he's being a game manager for that team right now. From pretty much everything that I've kind of heard. I mean, like I said, I don't watch that much college ball, so I don't know. But all the stuff I'm reading is that he's just a guy. Dante Moore was the runner up for the Heisman, I believe. and he made a fool of himself after the Heisman was announced that it was Mendoza. Mendoza?
Yeah, how so?
Well, he like went out to a club and bought signs that said F Mendoza or F Indiana and like was just like throwing money everywhere, like, oh, I'm the better, like made statements like, oh, it just really came down to this, like a bunch of like I'm like, really just like kind of I even like I was like, I haven't even heard your name. I mean, I don't listen to calls that much, but I was like, I at least know Mendoza. Yeah,
That's
really kind of made a bad image for himself. So
yeah.
I have my question marks around that one.
Yeah, we'll be getting into a lot of rookies here in the offseason, especially. But the two names that keep getting brought up for the first round of the NFL draft are Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, and Dante Moore. And then I keep hearing a sprinkling of Ty Simpson from Alabama, but he looked pathetic the last month of the season, and he didn't do anything in the playoffs at all. So I don't think Ty Simpson is a first round quarterback.
Well, and we'll see if he even comes out this year. I mean, with this NIL, these quarterbacks can stay in college longer, get more experience, improve their draft capital, and still get paid a lot of money. So I mean, we could see some of these quarterbacks just say, you know what, I'm just going to stick around and see if I have a better year next year. You know, especially if like they have agents already on their hands because of the NIL stuff, and so they already have agents that are going, maybe you go back and see if we can increase that draft capital because you're going to be dropping to the fourth, fifth round. I mean, they usually have a relatively good idea. You have some of those guys that bump up in the offseason, but we could see a lot of these guys going back.
I could see Ty Simpson being more of like a second round quarterback this year. I don't think he does go back because there is speculation that they have like a rookie quarterback or they have a freshman quarterback in Alabama, and they were thinking about actually benching Ty Simpson for that young quarterback behind him. And so if he does stick around in college, it will not be with Alabama. He'd have to transfer out because they're going to be going after that other fellow that was a freshman. But Ty Simpson, this is a weaker quarterback class as we are going to get into in the offseason. And so I think Ty Simpson has a better likelihood of getting drafted in the probably second round, but maybe first round if teams are desperate. There's a lot of quarterback needs. Ty Simpson has a lot better shot of going out this year versus waiting to next year. And then, oh, by the way, he only had one season. So we find ourselves with an inexperienced quarterback coming out as a rookie, and we've seen how that played out.
Do we have a name for those people? Is it called Anthony Richardson's?
And you said it, Anthony Richardson, Trey Lance. Like we've seen a lot of failures in recent years, and now we're seeing teams drafting fifth year, 6-year quarterbacks in the top 2 rounds, and they want the experience now, and then they're getting actually shots to start.
Yeah, I mean, someone that I was completely wrong on because I had my speculations on these older quarterbacks. That's Tyler Shock, man. He played college football forever. Like, I mean, he was in college for at the same time Justin Herbert was. I mean, he was in college for, was it 6 or 7 seasons? It was something wild. I don't know. He's already 26 years old and he's just finished his rookie year. And he looks great. Honestly, I hate to say it because I was dead wrong on him, but he looks great. And so these quarterbacks coming out with more experience, it's definitely been in their favor.
Yeah, Carson Beck would have been a freshman the same year that CJ Stroud and Bryce Young would have been freshmen.
That's insane. They're both finishing up their 3rd year in the league, and he's just still chilling in college. I don't
Paid for it though. I mean, you got to give it to the guy for coming back to Miami, and again, a team that really didn't hear a whole lot about. They're in a championship game.
I mean, you did hear
excellent
about him.
defense, but
I was going to say
you still have good quarterback play to get there.
You definitely heard about him because Cam Ward came from Miami last year. They were really looking just to fill in that hole because Miami looked great last year with Cam Ward too.
Yeah,
so
but were they a championship quality team?
I don't know if they were in the playoffs. I can't remember.
They extended the playoffs in order to get Miami in too. So
right, but They looked good, and they've had a competent team at least for a couple of years. It's not like he came to this program and magically they were good. I think they just knew they had a hole to fill, and they needed someone that was just kind of good enough. Because I'm not a fan, if you haven't heard.
No,
I,
and
I watched his tape from last year because I thought he was coming out last year, and it was a shock that he went back. And I was like, this is awful. I
I
mean,
don't think
I'll dive into his tape again, but
I don't think it was a shock that he went back. He was injured last year with Georgia, and then again getting paid to go to Miami. He's definitely played a lot better. He's had a lot of protection around him also, and so he's going to need a system that has a good line in order to protect him if they want to get the ball down the field. But boy, we sure have talked a lot about Carson Beck, and again, I don't think he's a first round talent, but again, there might be some teams that are desperate that might get him at the end of the first round or a second round.
well, tune in to our quarterback breakdown when we do rookies, and you'll find out what we really think of them.
But it sounds like Mendoza is the cream of the crop for this year's quarterback class.
That's what it sounded like. And there's going to be some teams that they love that Heisman title. I mean, the Heisman has worked out pretty darn well last few times. Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow was a Heisman, so it's worked out pretty
Bryce
good.
Young?
I don't know if Bryce Young was.
I'm almost certain he was.
Huh. I mean, hey, he turned it around this year. They're in the playoffs, baby.
Their division's awful.
Playoffs is the playoffs. It doesn't matter.
I'm checking right now. Heisman, yeah, he won the Heisman in 2021.
Okay.
So
it only works.
I guess successful.
I mean, at least he's not Anthony Richardson and already out of the league.
You're not wrong. Let's get to some of the coaching changes around the league, and let's start with the first one here. The Falcons, they decide to fire Raheem Morris as their coach, and now there's an opening for the Falcons. If you're a coach looking for a head coaching position, what do you think about the Falcons organization as a team that you'd want to latch onto?
I mean, on top of that, they also not only fired their head coach, but also their GM, Terry Fontenot. So it was a clean slate. We're wiping it all down. I mean, those two were part of the ones that had the shocking draft of Michael Penix a couple of years back, and
also had signed Cousins to
exactly.
over $100 million coming off of an Achilles injury, but they did restructure. They did restructure Cousins recently. He only has a $2 million cap hit this year, and the rest of it spread out over the next couple of years.
Yeah,
so it gives them more flexibility.
It definitely gives him more flexibility. It makes it more likely that another team would trade for him. That was Terry Fontenot's probably last move before they came in the next day and were like, "Get out." I don't remember when that news came across. But in terms of the team itself, it's got to be a relatively desirable place to go. I mean, you have Kirk Cousins, who played pretty well at the end of the season here as he had to take over for Michael Penix. I mean, he didn't look horrible. Michael Penix, you have a young quarterback who, sure, he wasn't playing the greatest, but I mean, he's also thrust into a position where his head coach is now fired. You got Drake London there, you got Bijan Robinson, you have an okay defense. Sometimes they show up.
Probably still have Pitts. I'm guessing that they'll tag him this year.
They could possibly tag him, or
tight ends are inexpensive to tag, franchise tag.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a place that someone could come to. If they could bring stability to this team, it could be a good team. They beat the crap out of the Rams. I mean, they did very, very well against the Rams. I know it ended up being a close game, but they were way out in front for a while. They were up by 2 scores. So this team needs some stability, and I think it could actually be a good team. So I think this is probably going to be one of the more attractive ones to head coaches.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. And also a division that's terrible. We already talked about it with the Falcons and the Bucks, the Panthers. Saints, and we'll get to some of those teams here in a second. But I think the Falcons, give them a little bit more on defense, give them another wide receiver weapon, and then I'd say they're in quarterback purgatory because is Penix going to be even ready to start the season, which means they might have to lean on Cousins to start the season.
Yeah, and he showed that he could do it. He looked. I know you're not the biggest Cousins fan because
I didn't like how much we paid for Cousins for one playoff win.
That's fair. But he looked good at the end of the season. I think he can get it done. I think he's finally starting to heal from his Achilles injury. He started to look like the Cousins kind of old, the guy that was able to process, move around in the pocket if need be. He's never been one to break off and scramble, but he was able to move in the pocket freely. And he just didn't have that when he started last year at the beginning of the year. Like, he just looked like he couldn't move. He was stiff, had no power. But he finally looks like he got some mobility back, got the power behind the ball. And, he has Drake London there if they bring Kyle Pitts back. And if not, he's got Bijan Robinson, too, to take the heat off of him. I mean, that's the big thing. So a quarterback doesn't have to be perfect in this system just because of the weapons that they have.
Well, just because we're on the thought of how long it took Cousins to get healthy from the Achilles, Daniel Jones tore his Achilles late in the season, and we saw it took at least a little over a year for Aaron Rodgers to get back with it, and we've seen now it almost took 2 years for Cousins to get back from his Achilles injury. Daniel Jones and the Colts, I think they're trying to find like a mutual agreement for a contract, but I don't know how much that says about this coming year for Daniel Jones.
Well, and since we're on the conversation of coaches, this is our Coach Carousel conversation. The Colts owner, she is already given them a hefty warning saying your string is short. The wire is thin. If you do not come out this year and produce, to both the head coach Shane Steichen and the GM, she has said to both of them, produce or you're done. And it is so. I know
Riley Leonard didn't look terrible the last game.
If you are a head coach, you want to push.
You're not going to rely on.
You're not going to rely on him. So this is the sticky situation there. And do you sign
Anthony Richardson? Like, what do you do with him?
Do you sign Jones for money and then you basically just throw your coaching career away because you're not going to be able to produce with him at the beginning of the year? He's not coming back. Do you rely on Anthony Richardson to fill in the gap? And that's if Jones comes back and is able to play okay. I don't see him being a mobile quarterback and playing super well.
Let's face it, of the three, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, and Daniel Jones is a mobile quarterback, and the other two are very stoic and statuesque.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very sticky situation. There could be another head coach and GM situation coming, I think, to Indy next year. Because I just don't see with this situation. It's either you screw over Daniel Jones and you don't re-sign him, and you go and get a different quarterback. You go and get to Kyler Murray or something like that, and you just say, "Sorry, Daniel Jones, it is what it is," and they go and sign someone else. Or I think they throw that coaching career away, man. I don't know. It's definitely got to be a scary situation for old Shane Steichen.
Brought up about Kyler Murray. We should probably talk about the Cardinals firing Jonathan Gannon. Although, it looked like he almost looked like he was protecting his career there with completely benching Kyler Murray and still just, being I don't even know if it was competitive, but playing okay with Jacoby Brissett, putting points up with Jacoby Brissett, and the Cardinals defense wasn't doing anything at all. But Jonathan Gannon, he was the guy I said that he was going to be the first head coach fired, and they waited until the season was over to fire him.
That's the thing is they might have been putting points up, but Jonathan Gannon is a defensive coach. He was a defensive coordinator. And so the fact that their defense wasn't doing anything and he's supposed to be the defensive guru, not the offensive guy, just shows even more of how garbage he was. Although, have you seen the linings for the head coaching job there? Drew Petzing, their garbage offensive coordinator, is one of their interviews. Arthur Smith is like the second highest odds to get the job. Do not do it. My God, I will lose my mind if Marvin Harrison Jr. has to be put with Arthur Smith. It'll be the end of me. I will quit all of fantasy football if this happens. I will
Well, they do
just
have a good tight end.
I'll be done. No, they'll ruin it. They will go and find
Higgins. Pick up Higgins now.
Jonnu Smith is coming to town. I can tell you right now, if Arthur Smith gets hired, coming to town to take all of Trey McBride's touches. It's just, I can't. If he does it, I'm done, Dustin. You benchmark it right here. If Arthur Smith gets the head coaching job in Arizona, I quit. I'm done.
Well, I've also seen that Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator from the Broncos, is supposed to also meet up with the Cardinals, and they're also looking inside their own division with Clint Kubiak as a potential hire. I also see that the Falcons are looking for Clint Kubiak also, and honestly, if you're a team, I think Clint would be one of the top guys to try and go after.
From everything I've seen,
offensively,
right? Clint Kubiak is kind of the big name. For
two others.
He's one of the big names, though, that's like everybody's kind of wanting to land. I mean, aside from what a couple of head coaches we'll get to here shortly. But, he was definitely the biggest one prior to some of these interesting firings that happened. But offensive-minded coach, somebody that could come in and kind of help this offense out and I think use their weapons a lot better than what they're being used. I mean, that's my big hope for the Cardinals is the fact that they could get a offensive-minded coach, but they seem like to be a terribly ran organization, and they'll ruin that.
Former Minnesota Miracle coach from the Minnesota Vikings has been with the Browns since 2018. Is now being fired. The Browns have fired Kevin Stefanski after what looked like just an awful season for the Browns. But you got to at least give the Browns credit from how they drafted last year. They were able to make ends meet with the defense. They made some pretty decent picks on the offense, in my opinion, getting Fannin, getting a couple quarterbacks fairly late, starting to build some of their line. I think they got, was it Mason Graham on the line? And so I feel like they've done well in regards to the draft picks, but I don't know how much Kevin Stefanski has to do with that. What do you think about the Browns firing Stefanski, and how are they going to turn this franchise around?
How? I have no idea.
It seems like this would be like a really one of the worst locations to go as a head coach.
Oh no, it's a terrible location to go for a head coach. And I mean, Kevin Stefanski was not a bad head coach. That's the problem. I mean, he was a good head coach, and they let him go because there's just things haven't been going. I don't know if that's did they keep the GM there?
I think so.
How has that man kept his job after the Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun's still with the team. He's still with the team.
Who cares? He hasn't played. How many snaps has he played for this team? Like, how many wins has that trade gotten them?
I don't think not maybe one or two wins, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how has this GM not? How is the coach being held responsible for the players that he has been given by the GM? That is what has blown my mind up in Cleveland. Like, fire the GM and get somebody that knows what they're doing, because he has made historically bad trades. I think what saved his career so far has been Myles Garrett, and then hitting on like Harold Fannin. They had some good, Ward they have there. He got, so I think those are like the only things that have saved his career. He's made a couple of good draft picks, but other than that, I mean, oh man, I feel
bad. Division too, on top of it.
Kevin Stefanski is going to get a job. He's going to get a head coaching job. He's one of the probably best options at this point, especially with guys that have experience that got fired for not being a bad head coach, but just because their team stinks.
Where do you see Stefanski landing?
Well, we haven't talked about him yet, but I think an interesting spot for Stefanski to go to help turn a team around, down in Miami. I mean, I don't think that would be a too bad of a spot. Kevin Stefanski, has a very good, he's handled bad teams before, but the Miami Dolphins aren't horrible, but they are going for a total rebuild, it kind of seems like. So, um, does Stefanski want to take on that project? I don't know, because it seems like they are cleaning house. um, but
So I think Kevin Stefanski actually lands with the Titans. It just feels like, he's tried to build a poor team up. I feel like Kevin Stefanski's been with a number of different quarterbacks over the years. I think that he could potentially help Cam Ward and the Titans, start to kind of lift themselves up just a little bit. But you were talking about the Dolphins. The Dolphins did fire kind of a delayed fire in Mike McDaniels. McDaniels looked like he was going to save his career there in Miami, but not so much. And I think some of it has to do with another coach that was recently canned, and that was John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, he refused to fire Todd Monken, office coordinator, and that led to basically the Ravens and John Harbaugh seeing different views. And I think it sounded like there was like a mutual like parting ways. And what I've heard is the Dolphins actually have a number of ties with John Harbaugh as the option for the Dolphins.
I hear these ties, and I was shocked by the firing because, it seems to be that Mike McDaniel's players absolutely love him. Even when this team was at its worst this season and it just looked like everybody was about to jump ship, those players fought hard for him no matter what. And they played through it. They got out some sneaky wins. And yes, they did lose in some horrible ways, such as to the Cleveland Browns. But they still fought hard. They still played well for him. So I was shocked. I did think he was going to keep his job, especially like with such an offensive mind that McDaniels has. I think someone is going to come after him as at least an offensive coordinator, if not a head coach. But as we were speaking, yeah, John Harbaugh with the ties down there. At this point in his career, does he really want to take on a full-blown rebuild? That's just my big question mark on it. Does he want to really do that? He's been in the league 18 years. He was with the Ravens as a head coach, which is, ended the longest tenure between, I think Tomlin's now the longest, which if they went and done it this weekend, I could see another head coach opening happening. But
so it's interesting that you say that, because when John Harbaugh, he ended up getting fired by the Ravens, there at that time, there were 6 teams that had head coaching positions open. 7 teams had reached out for John Harbaugh for an interview. And I initially had thought, wouldn't it be interesting if the Steelers end up losing here on Monday Night Football, they could still fire Tomlin. And what if Tomlin goes to the Ravens and John Harbaugh goes to the Steelers?
I don't think that happens.
Just a switcheroo.
Just a nice little flop. How funny would that be? Yeah, I mean, the John Harbaugh the firing's interesting. I know there's a lot of rumors of him to Miami. I just don't see it. I don't see him saying, bring on the rebuild. I'm 18 years in. Who knows how much time? I mean, he's not ridiculously old. Pete Carroll's how old and still was coaching.
Whoa. We'll get there. Don't jump too far ahead. We'll get there here in just a moment, I think. But did you watch Seinfeld? Are you a Seinfeld person?
You know this answer.
That's yes, right?
No, I hate Seinfeld.
You don't like Seinfeld at all?
No. It's a terrible show. Go Friends.
Man. There's always these memes that I see in the Seinfeld groups on Facebook, and they always show Mike McDaniels with ladies' glass, like, because he's got like those ladies' framed glasses, and they're always saying, "Excuse me, madam," because there was an episode where George Costanza ended up getting frames that were ladies' glasses, and Kramer goes up to him and says, "Excuse me, madam," and he's like, "What?" It's like, "You got ladies' glasses." So I laugh every time I see Mike McDaniels because I'm like, "Excuse me, madam."
You're so before we move on from John Harbaugh and moving on from the Raiders, can we talk about how of a wonderful landing spot for a head coach would be to go to the Ravens? I mean, a team that has been had its ups and downs, then I mean, had some serious injuries, but it's got to be one of the more desirable landing places, don't you think?
Yeah, but I can also see this. John Harbaugh knew how to work with his players in his system. I could see a lot of coaches not understanding how to utilize Lamar Jackson appropriately. And we saw Lamar Jackson; he was nicked up and injured this year, and he played pretty terrible. Are we nearing the end of Lamar Jackson?
No, no.
He's got a lot more left in the tank, right?
He's got a lot more left in the tank.
Two-time MVP.
And he is a mobile quarterback, yes, but he has such a good arm and accuracy. He can transition to a more of a pocket passer that scrambles, not a mobile quarterback. So he could transition to more of that role. He is still a very good passer, accurate, has a good arm. But someone I was thinking that would be because we got to keep. I keep
We're getting there.
revealing. I keep revealing things, but
You want Pete Carroll there, don't you?
no. No, Pete, retire, please, buddy.
Yeah.
Enjoy your time. Enjoy your time left.
Spoiler alert. Pete Carroll was fired, not retired. He was fired.
Somebody that has worked with mobile quarterbacks before and has had success with mobile quarterbacks, Cliff
Kingsbury.
I think would be a perfect landing spot here. Don't you think?
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury, he's out with Washington, and they just recently hired David Bowe for the offensive coordinator, and Bowe or Baugh. He was a former NFL quarterback, and he was the assistant quarterback coach last year with Washington, and now he's stepping into the offensive coordinator position. Does not look good for Jaden Daniels, in my opinion. But Cliff Kingsbury, we talked about, we've got Mike McDaniels, we've got Clint Kubiak, we've got Stefanski as a possibility, but Cliff Kingsbury, he's one of the headliners, to go along even with Harbaugh. And like you said, he would be probably a perfect fit there for the Ravens.
Yeah, I think he would be an absolute perfect fit. It's David Blau.
David Blau.
Yeah, Blau is going to be that offense. No, I forgot.
I mean, you were saying about Cliff Kingsbury being a fit for the Ravens,
right? Yeah. So we saw him have success in Arizona with a mobile quarterback and Kyler Murray. Things fell apart, and he even came out in interviews like
he was to blame. He was to blame.
He came from a college system. He came from a college head coach directly to NFL, and he's come out in recent interviews saying, "I was not prepared. I was not ready to be an NFL head coach." He's like, "It is a different game." There's a lot more is involved when you are dealing with an NFL team and being a head coach. I came from college where, you're dealing with student athletes and all this. And he's like, I just wasn't ready. Now he's been with Dan Quinn. He says he's learned a lot from Dan Quinn just being under him the last couple of years and how to be more of a leader of men rather than a leader of boys and students. He's like, I've learned a lot. And, I think that's why, because he doesn't have a job yet and he is gone. They parted ways with the Washington Commanders because he was expected to get a job. And that was just kind of his thing. He's like, I'm ready to take that step up and be a head coach again. And he did. He had success with Kyler Murray. The team, yes, crumbled after a short period of time, but he still had success with that quarterback. And then success with Jaden Daniels here with the Commanders. And so I could see him having pretty good success with Lamar Jackson in a well-ran franchise and a good organization that he would have support and an established team with. John Harbaugh didn't come here and dismantle this team. He's not trying to rebuild a program. He's just trying to reshape it to his image. And Lamar Jackson is a perfect fit to his image.
Well, and now we're looking back, like it may not have been Cliff Kingsbury's faults either that the Cardinals failed. Kyler Murray seems to be a huge vector a small vector on why the Cardinals ended up losing so many games over the last number of seasons. He's not putting in the work. And, do we see Kyler decide to go play baseball instead of play football?
Well, that and it just seems to be an organization that just are they ever going to figure it out? You know, is their management going, or their owners going to ever be the ones that are like, we're all in, we're doing it, paying the players, we're making the right moves and setting them up for success. Uh, is that ownership? Is this from the top down that we just can't see it function correctly? I don't know, but I mean, at least firing Jonathan Gannon was a step in the right direction. Hiring Arthur Smith or Drew Petzing, wrong
Look,
direction.
look what Cliff Kingsbury did though with Mariota. Look how like look how much they did with Mariota. Like
Mariota.
if you're the Titans, you better go out and pay this man to come into your franchise to help lead your team and get Cam Ward again, who was a 0-star prospect that's been kind of like just climbing his way up the ladder. Like he didn't show enough this year, and they need somebody that can actually coach him and coach the Titans team because they looked absolutely pathetic this year as an organization. You have to go out and you're going to have to pay and make an incentive for Cliff Kingsbury to decide to be with your franchise because there's a lot of teams that need coaches, and we haven't even got to really the Raiders. But could you not see Cliff Kingsbury going to the Raiders
The Raiders? Wait,
or
they let
or
go of
even to
Pete?
Mike McDaniels? Right.
Pete's gone?
I mean, there's a huge opening for the Raiders, another team that's trying to rebuild. They got Tom Brady and company trying to build this franchise from the ground up. And boy, right now they're still on ground zero. And they need somebody to be a leader and somebody that has a lot of pizzazz and a lot of spice. And I think both Mike McDaniels and Cliff Kingsbury have that pizzazz that Vegas wants to help pick their team up and take them to the next step and the next level.
I mean, yeah, and also not to mention they pissed off one of their best defensive people by telling them, "Hey, you're not playing football. We're putting you on the IR." And so the fact that they benched Max Crosby, made him go on IR, and made him mad. Do we see him come back for another season, or do we see him request a trade? You're going to need a head coach that comes in and makes him happy. I mean, he's one of your big ticket guys, and whether or not he is going to lead your team to wins or anything, that's still a big morale hit if you lose Max Crosby, and now you're just trying to rebuild even more pieces. So you're going to need somebody that's going to come in, make him happy, be a leader of men, and man, you need somebody with strong will in that organization to kind of toughen this out and turn this franchise around, especially with no sights of a quarterback. They do have the 101. Are they a quarterback away? No. Are they going to bring in a quarterback just to ruin them? Possibly. I mean, best case scenario is, just try to find one off the streets and just move back a little bit in that draft and build up as much as you can, because this franchise is not, you're the 101 for a reason. It was ugly.
You saw Max Crosby the last 2 years. He saw a couple receivers head out and leave. Devontae Adams is like, I'm out. He wanted to be a package deal with Devonta. He wanted to leave with him and get out of there. And then Myers ended up moving over the Jaguars, and he's continuing to see this team just continue to just spiral down the drain, and then only for the team to bench him the last 2 games of the season. And you brought that up a couple episodes ago, how Max Crosby's just had it and had to leave and was like, I'm done with this place.
Yeah. And such a key piece too. That's the thing. I mean, he is a key piece of that team, and man, they just pissed it away.
Well, I think there's a connection with Mike McDaniels and the Raiders, and you know what that is, Colton? A former Oakland Raider, Aaron Waller.
In life, it's hard to love.
Maybe he has that connection with Darren Waller. Darren Waller's telling him, "Oh man, you need to go to the Vegas Raiders to help lift that team up, Mr. McDaniels." And maybe he stays out of retirement and gets sent over that way too to be a 1-2 combo with Bowers.
Yeah, no, Waller wanted out of there as well.
Yeah, he sure did.
Only he went to the Giants and wanted out of there even worse. So.
maybe he finds himself back home before he retires again.
Yeah, the Raiders. I honestly, I don't even have like a speculation for who's going to be there. It's whoever's going to be wants the most money. You know, it's just whoever wants the most money to just go there and be a punching bag.
Gruden?
they, they tried that experiment.
Yeah. Bring him back. Bring him back.
I don't know if he can come back. There's still like a lawsuit going on with all that.
No, the lawsuit's over.
Oh,
Gruden won.
Did it finally finish?
Yeah, Gruden won.
Oh, nice. I don't think they're letting him back.
I'm sure he's still getting paid because it was like 10 years, $100 million. I don't know if the 10 years has been up yet.
Man.
But I do see Cliff Kingsbury or McDaniels being the coach for the Raiders.
I could definitely see I could see McDaniels for sure, just because he's got that wild style of play. That there might be some teams turned off of it because it was such a high velocity, like high risk, high reward kind of deal going on. And but the problem is they'd have to get the personnel that his offense is built for, and it is not the personnel on that team to run it.
There were a couple offensive coordinators that have stepped into place of a couple good offensive coordinators that moved on to other teams. The Lions offensive coordinator, Johnny Morton, he was let go. He did not fill in the shoes of Brad Johnson at all. The Lions didn't even make the playoffs this year after winning the North last year, and I think the year before also. And then we also saw that the Bucs fired their offensive coordinator, Josh Grizzard, after just one season. And look what Liam Cohen is doing with the Jaguars. He's just unlocked Lawrence out of, he just unlocked him. Lawrence has finally turned into what maybe we thought he could be.
Yeah, and just speaking of the Bucs real quick, it did come out that Todd Bowles is going to keep his job, which it's not good there if, they have to come out and say this guy's keeping his job. So, he's going to be running on a short string for next year, especially, with the talent he has on that roster between Baker and all the wide receivers, Godwin, Ibuka, Evans, Sure, I think what saved him is they're like, hey, we've lost our offensive coordinator the last 2 years. I'm a defensive head coach.
Exactly.
That's the problem with these defensive head coaches is they get these gurus that are offense, Dave Canales, Liam Cohen, we're seeing, they get these offensive coordinators that do great for their team, but then they move on and you're left with no offense and you're rebuilding again. And Baker is on to his next offensive coordinator again. He has not had an offensive coordinator back-to-back years yet. We saw this team just kind of crumble in the back half of the season, and I feel like it's most likely due to the offensive coordinator and also probably some injuries to Baker Mayfield in this wide receiver core. But it'll be interesting to see who they bring in for that coordinator role. Maybe they can, if McDaniels doesn't get picked up by a team, man, that'd be so fun to have there in Tampa.
You took the words out of I have a friend that's a Bucs fan, and he really thinks that Mike McDaniels would be a key cog in the wheel for the Bucs if they can get him as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, if McDaniels does not get a head coaching job, he's going somewhere as an offensive coordinator. But once again, I think he'll find success, and I think he'll move on again after that is the problem. I think he will be a head coach again someday, whether it's this year or next year, but he'll get a job, and he'll be, I think, just fine.
I think the problem with the Buccaneers is they had every single one of their wide receivers injured at some point in the season.
And their quarterback. Don't forget the quarterback.
And I didn't even get to the quarterback. Yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield – he tore up his labrum after a dislocation again, his left shoulder, same injury he had with the Browns right before they let him go.
Mm-hmm. Don't let him go, Bucs. Or actually, do. The Colts need a quarterback. Let him go.
JJ McCarthy.
No. I'm a Vikings fan as well, Dustin. I know.
I know. Like. Oh, no. Speaking of the Vikings, I did see rumors of Brian Flores as a rumored to the Raiders.
Yeah, I've seen Brian Flores to a lot of different teams. The problem is when Brian Flores left the Miami Dolphins, from my understanding, that man burned a lot of bridges.
Yes,
There was a lot of FU
including
letters sent.
Gruden.
Yeah.
We just went
Um,
full circle.
yeah, there was a lot of bridges burned, and from my understanding, the Vikings took a real chance on taking him onto their team. That was many, many years ago now. So, maybe bygones are bygones, but at the same time, he left a sour taste in a lot of mouths. So it might be a little more far fetched. And I honestly, I think he's happy.
I wish he just stays put. Just
I
stay
think he's
put
happy being a
with
coordinator.
Minnesota. Right.
So
I would like him to stay with Minnesota. I think the Raiders' job has a lot of variance to it, and I don't know if they have any idea of how they want to build that team yet. They don't have, as you said, they have the 101, but they need to trade out of that pick, and they need to trade back and maybe get a few picks from a team like the Jets that want to trade up for Mendoza. And the Jets have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. Maybe you get those 2 first-rounders and maybe a second-rounder next year in order to make things meet up, or maybe you get a first and a second this year and their first next year. But you need to make some of those moves because there's so many pieces that the Raiders need.
well, one last thing on this Raiders team topic is if you are a second-time head coach, your opportunity is already slim because they've already watched you fail one other place. You're not getting a third opportunity if you fail with the Raiders. So some of these second-time head coaches we're talking about here, they might look at this team and be like, absolutely not. I mean, look at what Ben Johnson did. Ben Johnson could have came out 2 years ago to be a head coach, but there wasn't a lot of options. And he was like, I'm good. I'm going to pick a better team to go with. Some of these, especially second life, head coaches need to take a second look and be like, do I want to really set my career on the Raiders and I never get a head coaching job again? Because you don't get 3 chances in the NFL. That's unheard of. So if I was a head coach and it's my second team, I'm not picking the Raiders. I'm going somewhere else to hang my hat for a little bit and pick a better team when I get the opportunity.
This other fella, he is actually getting called up to be a head coach also, and that's Jason Garrett. The Titans are looking at Jason Garrett as a potential head coach. Jason Garrett, former coach with the Cowboys, has been an announcer the last 2, maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Yes. Well, maybe longer because he was the head coach before McCarthy.
I did hear that name. Yes. Okay. Yes. The Titans are.
The Titans are desperate.
They're willing to listen to anyone, but I think at the same time, it's what I just spoke about. Some of these head coaching opportunities, some of these guys are just like, I don't think I want to put my whole career on this team. They're getting smarter. They're understanding these opportunities, and someone like a Jason Garrett, as he puts, like, I don't care, give me the money. I got experience. Experience is experience.
And you kind of wonder, do the Raiders just go with like a cheap option at the coaching position because they have so many things to fill that this coach that they hire is probably not going to be their long-term coach.
I mean, and that's a possibility too.
Which again kind of leans towards like, is Stefanski a candidate for the Raiders? I don't see Stefanski going to have a long-term option. Although he was with the Browns a lot longer than I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, anyone is obviously a good candidate for the Raiders because they just need anything. As the problem, they just need somebody to come in here and try to clean up a mess. But the problem is, once again, it's a lot of it's on the GM too. You can only play with the players that you're given. Head coaches obviously have say, but they get fired for when they even make the correct choice on player personnel. Look at the Giants, which segues into that. I keep doing it.
Well, and the Giants, they already got rid of their coach.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Daboll with the opening there, but they
have an opening, and it's. Do they have? Is their GM fired also?
He
for
is
the
actually
Giants?
going to keep his job somehow.
Oh, okay.
Joe Shoden or something like that. Yeah, it came
They
out
showed in him the door,
that he's keeping his job. They said due to him, making a couple
hitting
of
on
good,
Dart.
except for he didn't want Dart.
Yeah.
It was Brian Daboll that wanted Dart. He argued with him and had his way, and
Scatterboo,
they fired the wrong guy.
neighbors.
Maybe it's Cam Scatterboo that saved his career because he was just such an electric, fun player. They're like, you did great with Scat. That's how poorly ran franchises are, though. It's just, hey, you did good on this one guy that we really love. Keep your job.
Well, and who paid Daniel Jones the money? Was it the GM or was it Dayball?
It was GM. Do
Yeah.
you not? I mean, I was going to say Dayball just could not stand Daniel Jones, especially towards that last season. Oh, the looks you got. Dayball does not hide his face. It is about the funniest thing. Like there's so many pictures of him just like giving Daniel Jones like the ugliest of looks. Like really, this is it, huh? That's another head coach we haven't talked about.
Where does he end up? Was he that bad?
Was he that bad? I could see him going back to a coordinator role. How cool would that be if he ended up on the Lions
What about the Bucks?
or the Bucks? I wouldn't mind that either.
I think the Bucks would be a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him going back, catching his bearings since his time in New York was bad, I think. And there hadn't been really any rumors of him getting any of these head coaching interviews. So I think we see him fall back into a more OC role. That's what I just said, Lions.
Oh, you did? I missed that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said that was my first one. I said, how fun would that be to see him on the Lions?
Yeah, Lions, Bucks. I'm good with both of those.
Yeah, I think that'd be super fun.
You know what's not super fun? Watching the head coach of the Bears from last year now was the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys for one season. He's now fired, and he's now available. Matt Eberflus. Not a fun experience there with Dallas.
No, it was. It's fantasy players. It was great.
Oh, my God.
If I had any player. It
was the Bengals defense of the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, if I had any player against the Cowboys, I'm like, oh, I'm playing them. They are going to score 20 points. It doesn't matter who they are. If they the backup to the backup, doesn't matter. Put them in. They're scoring 20 points somehow.
Hey, I think I got an idea. Why don't we get rid of our best defensive player, maybe in the game, in Micah Parsons, and let's just trade him in for a couple first-round picks. Oh, and let's get that 30-year-old tackle too.
Did you hear what Jerry said? That he wants to retire.
Jerry Jones wants to?
Jerry Jones wants to retire as the most winningest owner of all time.
How many more wins does he need?
He needs like 6 to catch up to Kraft.
6 more wins?
I think maybe it's like 4. I think he has what, 1 Super Bowl trophy?
Oh, you're talking about he wants that many Super Bowls.
Oh yeah, he wants to be
I thought he was talking about I thought he meant winning record.
No, Super Bowls. Super Bowls. I think he has like 1, maybe 2. I don't remember how far back he goes in ownership, but
I think the Cowboys had 3.
Does he
in the 90s, didn't they?
Has he owned them?
Yeah.
He's okay. So he's got to get 3 more to catch up to Kraft. He's got to win 3 more Super Bowls.
Almost certain that the Cowboys won 3 times.
You could very well be right. I don't deal well with the Cowboys and their wins. They're the most annoying winners of all time.
They were America's team.
Yeah. Okay. Not in America I want to live in.
Let's see, in mid-90s. Yeah, 93, 94, 96.
Oh, okay. And so, yeah, makes sense. It was before my time.
My uncle was a huge Cowboys fan. He still is.
I was born in 95, so it's been 30 years.
It's been a long time.
And yeah, Cowboys. He wants to win. He wants to win 4 more because he wants to be the winningest. So, oh no, 5 because Kraft has 7. Or no, 6. They do have 6.
Brady has 7.
Brady has 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So he only needs a couple.
He only needs a few. He's got plenty of time left in his life too. He's young guy, doing good with his GMing of his team as well. Really built up a great defense.
You got to give to the guy for entertainment value.
Oh, he keeps it interesting, man. He's crazy. He's a crazy old bird. We
But
call those people kooks.
That's all of the coaches that I had for this carousel. Did you have any other coaches that I didn't talk on?
Let me just scroll through my notes, but I
feel like we hit a number of them.
It's a weird one. He's been requested by the head coach interview for the Raiders and the Ravens, but it's Davis Webb, the Broncos quarterback coach and passing game coordinator. He's gotten 2 interviews.
Yeah, but he's not. He hasn't been fired though. He's just been
on the
docket as a possibility.
Yeah, just as someone that's a possibility, which I found super interesting because the Broncos have not been throwing the ball that well. I'm like, I saw his name pop up and I looked into it more. I'm like, he's this is what they want off the team that's been not throwing that great. Okay, all right, that'd be an interesting move for the Raiders.
Yeah, well, and maybe
someone they can buy cheap.
Maybe they're looking at like, what do they do? Like Knicks, they got Knicks and they were able to go to the playoffs last year, and now they're in the playoffs 2 years in a row with a really young quarterback. Maybe they find that there's some correlation there. I was listening to a podcast and they were basically saying about, how the Broncos tend to just kind of spread the ball around to all their different receivers. And their theory was, and I thought this was interesting, was because of Mile High, the oxygen levels are a lot lower. There has to be a lot of more substitutions, and to keep the players more healthy, fit, and energized. That's why they had multiple receiver sets with different receivers playing the game. And I thought that was it was just an interesting thought for a home game for Denver.
That is interesting. There's one last name that I have to bring up. That is a head coach of a college team with NFL experience.
Okay.
Bill Belichick's still sitting out there. I
don't think so.
Nobody's talked about it though.
What if he goes to the Raiders?
That's what I'm saying. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. He's had a rough stint there in North Carolina. I think he's done with the college kids, except for his girlfriend, of course. It just came to my mind and right out my mouth.
That's a good one, Dad.
Thank you.
That would have been a good place to end.
There's a very good possibility we could see him get an interview there at the Raiders with the connection to Brady, and that is someone with experience in rebuilding a team, and that is a leader of men. He doesn't take shit. He would be a very good experience and would be able to help guide this team into a much better place. I'm not saying he's going to go and win the Raiders a Super Bowl, but he could guide them to a better place. And so that's just definitely another name you got to keep an eye out for, and got to remember that he's still out there and is still coaching. And
yeah, I've heard the NFL teams are also kind of sniffing around the Oregon Ducks, their coaching staff, Indiana's coaching staff, some of these teams that are still in the playoffs for the college teams. And so there could certainly be some other college level quarterback coaches that end up coming up into the NFL. But that's an interesting one with Bill. I didn't think about Bill actually coming back to the NFL.
Yeah, no one has. Like, everyone I've been listening to just kind of been pushing it off, and I'm like, he has connections, he has history, he has experience, and he has lots of wins. I mean, he still could come back and be the most winningest quarterback coach in the NFL history. I think he's only so many games shy. So there's a possibility he could be making his push back to the NFL, and has a window open there with the Raiders.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
All right, that's our coaching carousel for 2026 season. I'm sure there could still be some other coaches that get canned between now and the next time that we're on. If so, we'll definitely have to bring that up in our news section. And what?
Tomlin. Tomlin.
It's a strong possibility. Can you imagine if there was just a switch between Harbaugh and Tomlin? Oh, that would just be such chaos, but it'd be such awesome content.
Oh, man. I do like Mike Tomlin, too, and I just love to see him go to a different team and see if he could have success away from the Steelers.
Tomlin always reminds me of the Foreman from House.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Not sure if you watched House. I have. There's 9 seasons. I've watched all of them, but Tomlin and Foreman, they could be brothers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to go and check it out now.
Oh yeah, they're doppelgangers.
He just makes the best faces.
Did you see? Did you see him after they won and became the AFC North champions?
No, I did not.
He was banging his chest like King Kong.
I did not see
It was
that.
amazing.
He's a character. He is a character. But
hey, if you enjoyed the content, please press the like button, click the subscribe button. Find us at FF Healers, at FF Captain 22 on Twitter X. If you want to follow the show tomorrow, real early in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm doing a Medusa Labyrinth Super Smash Bros tournament, and basically we're trying to figure out which one of us fantasy football players of the 12 actually is Medusa. And how we figure that out is we go through a simulated Smash Brothers tournament, and the winner ends up being Medusa. Whoever ends up being that Medusa character that wins the tournament, if it's the first place champion of the fantasy league, they get first, second, and third place prize plus the 113, and the second place and third place, they get nothing. If it's any other person outside of the league champion that ends up winning, the prizes get paid out as normal to first, second, and third place, and that person gets the 113. So there's a lot riding on tomorrow morning, Super Smash Bros. Tourney. You can join us live. It'll be right here on YouTube, 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, January 10th. With that, I hope you enjoyed the program.
salud.